So hello to Andy Goldring, who's coordinator and the CEO of the UK Permaculture Association, as well as an active permaculture teacher and designer. And I'm Mike Grenville from Transition Forest Row. So thanks for taking the time to talk to us today on International Permaculture Day, the first time that's happened, I think.
That's great.
So welcome. And so tell us, Andy, what got you inspired? How did you get involved in permaculture, and what's the story of how you began?
Well, it's a very long story, and it involves meeting someone in a phone box. But maybe I shouldn't go into the details.
Maybe not.
When I first came across permaculture, it was a bit like getting a Christmas present, and you know it's all wrapped up, and you start opening it. And I didn't quite know what was inside it, but I knew it was what I was looking for. And basically, the next day I hitched back up to Leeds from London, where I'd been, and I went into Waterstones, ordered the book, the designer's manual, and then I spent the next 3 months reading about it. And I loved the pictures and the diagrams. I just thought it made so much sense. And it was beautiful. I thought, this is what it should be like. Why isn't it? So I was very lucky to be unemployed at the time, and I was able to pursue my interests. And that's what I did, and that's what I've been doing ever since. And it's been probably the best choice I ever made, because I've met some of the most inspiring people, very positive. There's lots of gloom and doom around in the world, which is, rightly so. There's a lot of things wrong, but Permaculture Network is full of people doing something really positive, and that gives me a lot of inspiration for now and for the future.
Yep. So what's the Permaculture Association all about? Tell us a bit about that.
Okay, well, Permaculture Association, I guess, it's all about working together to do things you can't do on your own. So there's lots of people doing permaculture in their own homes and gardens, in their own community projects, in all sorts of different ways, and that's fantastic. We don't need an organisation to do that. But there are also things that we can't really do on our own, and that's where the Permaculture Association tries to kind of bring people together to work on common challenges and opportunities. So that might be bringing teachers and educators together. It's about having a kind of common information system. So we do a newsletter, a website, e-bulletin, keep each other informed, share news, learn, host events, and maybe sometimes it's about reaching new audiences, new groups. So we've been working with landscape architects, for example, and done a CPD day, which is continuing professional development for landscape architects. That's probably something that an individual permaculture designer would struggle to do, but as an association, we can start to make those links. And when those links are established, we can then start to hand over that work to local activists and practitioners. So that's what we're there for, to do the things we can't do on our own.
I think we first met at the as part of the permaculture area at the Big Green Gathering. I think it was some years ago now.
Yeah.
And so Permaculture Association organises its own convergences, and you've got one coming up in Wales this year. Tell us about that.
We do. The Permaculture Convergence is July 24th, 25th, 26th July. Fantastic event, 300-400 people, huge amount of sharing. Permaculture is a very open network, very free with its information, and basically we'll have probably 80 workshops talking about education, farming, diploma in applied permaculture design, you name it, we'll be talking about it, and doing some practical stuff too. So good fun. Have fun. That's the key thing. We'll be enjoying ourselves and showing that permaculture is not only a constructive thing to do, but actually it's just good quality of life. So there'll be lots of fun. Good.
That sounds good. And so, what's your vision for the future? Where do you see permaculture going?
Well, there's an advert, isn't there? The future's bright, the future's orange.
There was.
Rubbish. It's not. It's the future's bright, the future's green. I am an ecosystem, and you're an ecosystem, and we live in an ecosystem. So we've got to think and act like ecosystems. So whether we call it permaculture or not doesn't really matter. The point is, humanity is moving towards a much more ecological future, and that's inevitable. I'm inspired by what permaculture is doing, but I'm also inspired by people like Gunter Pauli and the Blue Economy, the Eco Village Network, people in biodynamics, Transition Network. We're converging around this new view of the world, which is, it's ecological, let's work in an ecological way. Yep. And actually, when we start to do that, work with nature, we're able to really make some very major improvements to not only our own quality of life, but also to benefits for the environment and so on. So the things that we're working on at the moment in the Permaculture Association, I'll tell you about 4 things quite quickly. One, we have something called the LAND project. LAND stands for Learning and Network Demonstration. So, but it's also about the land, showing what you can practically do. We've now got 80 projects across England where we can... Is that a funny noise coming through there?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. So the LAND project basically is 80 projects so far. 27,000 people have visited them. They're volunteering at them. And essentially you can see permaculture in practice. So we've got these hubs of activity around the country, which means it's much easier for the public to access permaculture and see it in practice and then take it home and do it themselves. The second really interesting development is that permaculture is starting to be adopted at a kind of in new ways. So we've got quite interesting amount of interest from farmers. We've just done a survey, 100 plus farmers got in touch. Mm-hmm. They're very interested to take on permaculture. We've got some funding proposals coming around. We're trying to pull together that kind of farm scale innovation. We've been working with people like Darren Doherty and the Regen Ag work that Aranya and Eliza have been doing as well to get some new skills into the UK farming network. The third thing is the diploma in applied permaculture design has really sort of taken off. It's been going along for many years, but it's now really, I think, getting to a very interesting stage. We've got 250 apprentices, and that means for over the next 2 years, those 250 apprentices will be doing 2,500 different designs for permaculture. Now, each one of those designs is a practical project creating sustainability, and we're learning about it. So we've got this really interesting approach, which means that people can learn and make a practical difference in the world, and other people can kind of connect with it. And that kind of brings me to the last point about one of the things we're doing at the moment, which is our work on research. And it's quite a neglected area of permaculture in many ways. We don't have a very active research network in permaculture. So we're really trying to see how we can develop a much more thriving research network. And there are 2 main reasons for that. The first thing is when you research, you learn. So research is a way of learning how well we're doing at what we're doing. And if we research our projects and we're able to monitor our progress, we'll get better at what we do. And that's a good thing. The second thing about research is it starts to give you an evidence base, which means you can connect to people that aren't in your network. So we can go along to policymakers, other networks, and say, here's what permaculture does, here's what it achieves. We're not just saying it, here's the evidence. And that means that new people will be able to take on permaculture, people that may be a little bit more sceptical than the people we've had involved so far. So that gives us potential to scale up and scale out our work. So land project, farming work, diploma, research, therefore the kind of exciting bits of work that we're doing at the moment that hopefully benefit us in the UK, but also might have a significance for other people internationally.
That sounds great. Andy, thank you so much for talking to us on International Permaculture Day. So check out the videos.
International Permaculture Day. Have a great one.
www.permacultureday.info for all these video talks.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Andy.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Bye.